Hi, it's Joanne from Down the Garden Path podcast. March may still have our lawns and gardens tucked under snow, but it's also the season when ideas start to take root. This month on Down the Garden Path, I'm joined by four talented landscape designers, each with their own style, story, and specialty. What connects them all is a shared passion for creating beautiful and thoughtful outdoor spaces for their clients. Tune in each week in March as they share their experiences, perspectives, and the many ways landscape design can shape how we live outdoors. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Down the Garden Path. I'd like to introduce you to John Bright. He is a certified landscape designer in London, Ontario, and he is known for crafting modern, forward-thinking outdoor spaces with a refined approach to small-scale living. As the owner and principal designer of Bright Design Studio, he leads the creation of high-end, thoughtfully curated landscapes designed for real life. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks for having me.
I love having people on to talk about the landscape design. And introducing more people to what we do and how we do it and the importance of what we do, don't you think?
Oh, for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit? I know we talked a little bit before the show, but just like a quick journey of how you became a landscape designer.
Okay, quick version. Didn't know anything about plants and started at a summer job at a nursery in Burlington. They're no longer operational, but that's where I kind of got everything started, and then worked my way through that for a couple summers, and then worked on site with a stonemason, got my hands kind of dirty that way, and then decided to, maybe this is a career for me. Is there schooling that I can take for this? So I ended up at Fanshawe in London, and did the 3-year program there, and then bounced my way around from Toronto back to London to Kitchener, back to London again, for a few different firms, all different sizes, super small from 3 people to 150 people, depending on the place that I was working. And now I'm here doing my own thing.
Excellent. So, and you are design only?
So we do design and project management.
Okay.
So kind of do everything but the build. So
but the build. Okay.
Yeah.
You decided to save your back, right?
Yeah. I did enough building. I like doing the build, but I'm good. I'm good just doing the drawings and making sure everything gets executed the way it should.
Excellent. So do you have a team of preferred contractors that you deal with?
I have a few people that I like to work with, but I'm still searching for more, because it's always good to have a few extras available in case other people's schedules get too busy. And if there's more clients that want stuff done, you got to have more people available. So I've got a few people that I work with, but always looking for more.
I find that, right, we can design more than one contractor can build, really, right? So it's good to have a few.
Yeah,
for sure. So since we're both passionate about landscape design, why don't you tell me why you think it's important for homeowners? So let's speak to the homeowners right now to start with a landscape design.
Well, I look at landscape design like you look at like the same way you'd look at an interior design, or how you'd look at building a home or any kind of renovation. It's the same thing. So you wouldn't just kind of blindly go into a renovation in the inside of your house, or to build a house. You would get drawings done and you'd plan and go through that process. So it's the same thing, even though it's outside. Get a plan, put it on paper, figure it out. It's always good to have a plan before you start digging or start doing any kind of construction of any kind, inside or out. So that's how I kind of look at look at landscape design is it's the same thing as interior and kind of looking at house building. They're different disciplines, but
Hmm.
the principles are the same.
Yeah.
So
And the importance of the investment, I think, for a long time, people, yes, they would get a design, an interior designer or an architect for a build and know that they needed to pay a good amount for that
mhm.
service. Um, and I feel like for a long time, landscape design was kind of just part of the build, and oh, I have to pay extra for that, or that it's that, and not really seeing it as its own thing. And I think it's coming around, but I think there's still people out there that they want a design, but they don't necessarily want to pay for one, right?
Yeah, there's definitely still a lot of people that are like that don't want to pay for it, but and it's we do the same thing. We do the
I
same thing
know.
that the interior guys do, and treat it the same way. Like
Yeah.
in some ways we have it a little bit tougher than they do in the sense like we're working with living things. Like
Mm,
we talked earlier about plants and how like sometimes you get different plants from you order a bulk of plants and all the same size, but they don't come the same size
yeah.
sometimes. And so that's what we're designing with. We're designing with living things that change and evolve over time. So
Hmm.
we kind of we have to sort of like look peer into the future a little bit on what these things are going to look like or how they're going to act. And
Yeah.
then like knowing soil types and sun and shade conditions and
Yeah. Wind.
microclimates, all of these things we have to take into consideration that aren't necessarily the things that you would always have to deal with on the inside of the
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
There's not
Absolutely.
always living things that you're bringing into an interior design.
Hmm.
There's it's on 95% of your designs for exterior, you're going to be dealing with a plant at some point. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's also not, I mean, the interior, stays static, right? Like whereas we're dealing with four seasons. We want a
mm-hmm.
yard and a walkway that works in the summer just as well as it works in the winter. And we want the landscape you to look out your kitchen window in the winter, like in the snowy February, and it still to look something to look interesting. So, it really is an all-encompassing. So I feel like I talk about it, but I love to hear from other people that that you agree, and that's one of our challenges in our industry constantly. I think is to sell that, right? To sell the
Yeah,
importance of that.
yeah. I was just listening to a talk yesterday about kind of the interesting. It was an interesting outlook on the finish of a project. Is when we get photography done for all these projects. If we really like it, we want to get pictures done.
Hmm.
The interior design, they want it done. They want pictures like right when the project's done. It looks amazing. That's the best it's going to look. Same with when the house has been built. If it's an
Yeah,
architect and it's a custom home, it's the best that house is going to look most of the time. Sometimes there's exterior things that need to age and they look better with age. But our stuff looks the worst it could probably look when when we finish it. At least from a planting perspective, it's not
yeah.
always the best
Well,
looking
the before
because
picture is the worst, but
the
after the
before,
before, yeah,
after the before, that in between of like, okay, we finished, but then if you come back like 3 years later, it's going to look so much better
so much
because again, it's an evolving thing.
better.
So it's just interesting, like
Yeah,
that kind of outlook on it. I thought that was interesting. So.
yeah. Your passion you mentioned in your bio is for small spaces. What
Mhm.
draws you to small space design, and why do you think it's so important right now?
Um, so I think it started when I was working in Toronto. I just
Mm,
found most of the properties that we were going into, and I wasn't like the lead designer or anything like that. I was just a rookie out of school and just kind of tagging along. And I just found that everywhere we walked into, it was just everything is super small. You really have to think about every inch and utilize every square inch in these spaces. So I think it kind of started there, and then it really hit home when I purchased my own house and realized, okay, like it looks like it's a big space, but actually these these rooms are relatively small, and uh, kind of everything in the house is relatively small, and then everything in the yard is kind of small, and so then it just kind of evolved from that, and then on top of it, now it seems every house that's being built is either being stacked to make space because there's not enough space to go out wide anymore, or they want to get as many people into a certain subdivision now or suburb. And yeah, depending on the size of the house, the lot usually is smaller, or just overall lot sizes are just smaller now. So that's, yeah, it just kind of, yeah, it kind of evolved, I guess, or yeah, evolved from those kind of places.
Yeah, out of necessity kind of thing. It is
Mm-hmm.
tricky. So how do you balance to create a great space, but balance designing a small space when your clients still want all the things?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, every client usually has a wide or large wish list. They want everything in these tiny little spots. I mean, we got to be creative as designers. That's kind of why we're getting hired in the first place, because we're creative thinkers. We think outside the box, and so um, I I guess I look at the small spaces like we had to try to create rooms and make it an extension of the house. So just looking at the wish list and going, okay, what are the needs? You kind of hit the needs first, and then then if you can get the wants on top of it, great. But if you can kind of narrow it down to needs first, then wants, it can start the design process a little bit easier. Um, but I'd like to utilize going up in small spaces. Um, Going up is, yeah, it creates a kind of an atmosphere that you might not have had before. Um, so yeah, it's just part of the creative process is figuring these things out, but kind of breaking up the wish list a little bit. I find helps to start the process.
Okay. Do you have ideas or do you have certain strategies to help the outdoor space feel larger? Like you mentioned going up.
Yeah, so going up with pergolas or trellises or archways or things like that. There's like material tricks that you can do. So if you've got, you're gonna put a patio down, actually using larger format pavers than smaller sometimes works better in a smaller space. It'll make it feel larger. And then the laying pattern. So if you have like a really large format paver, it's oversized, and you do it in like a running bond, like a brick pattern, and you stretch it from, if you have like a narrow yard, you can make it feel a little bit wider by the way you lay that large format slab. And then making something feel larger or yeah, bigger, like the background kind of disappears. You can use black backdrops so you can stain your fences darker colors, or add in screens, or just how you kind of position certain plants. Bigger plants actually work out nicer in smaller spaces, having kind of some anchoring plants. So some solid shrubs or small trees that are decent sized. They can kind of help give the illusion that the space is a lot larger than it actually is. And just positioning of them is super key, I find.
Yeah. 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 And maybe reducing the palette, right? Like sometimes I find you still might have the same amount of plants, but less variety, just to
Yeah.
kind of keep your eye, um, you know, I can't think of the word, but
You kind of keep your eye moving through the space. If you overdo it with a plant palette in a small space, like large spaces, you can go like, okay, I've got 300 different kinds of perennials or shrubs in here.
yeah.
A small space, you might want to limit it to like 15 or 20. Like 15 is probably enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and sometimes that's even too much. Like, you can go to 5 sometimes, and it can still look really, really sharp, and keep things low maintenance. Because that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
People will
Yeah.
always want low
Oh,
maintenance.
lemons. Yeah. I always joke. I say, "Oh, no one's ever asked me for that before."
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna take that.
Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think going back to the whole, the importance of a landscape design, and or having to kind of sell our services to clients, I think when it's the hardest are the people that have the small spaces because they think, well, it's small, it's easy.
Hmm.
Whereas really, I mean, every inch counts in a small yard, right? And especially if they
Yeah.
have a lot of wants. So can you speak to that a bit about how to, explain to people like the importance?
Um, yeah. I mean, having a small space, it seems like it's an easy thing to figure out. It's actually more difficult than the larger spaces because larger spaces you can just keep going. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I ran out of room. Well, I'm not going to run out of room because I've got even more space. So in a small space, like we've said a couple of times, every inch counts. So that's where we come in and with our expertise and be able to plan things out properly. We know the general sizes or recommended sizes for seating areas or dining areas, lounge
Hmm. Oh,
spaces,
yeah.
um, how furniture is going to fit in these small spaces. If the space is so small that you have to go to custom furniture, because sometimes you got to do that depending on what the wish list is of people and how much they really, really want to get in that space. So again, just planning and being creative and kind of looking at things a little bit differently, but um, that it all starts with that plan. You got to have
Yes.
that plan on paper, and it's got to be mapped out because especially in a small space. Because if you like, sometimes if you're out by a foot in a small space,
Yeah.
that's like being out like that. That's a massive mistake.
Hmm.
It could be a massive mistake on the build because you can. Well, I need that extra foot for this dining area. If I don't have this dining area now or that extra foot now, the seat can't be pushed out to a comfortable spot to get in to the table.
Right.
So every little spot counts, and that's it's super key to have that plan to be able to make sure it goes according to
Yeah.
plan.
Hmm. Hmm. And we often say, like I think we both have said the term, like starts with the plan because we know plans are going to change, and homeowners, we can review the design with them, and they want a patio, but they also want to have grass for the kids. And then when they come home after the dig out, and they're like, oh. I want the patio bigger. Yeah, we don't need that much grass, right? Like, things can change, or it could be the opposite. Oh, we need more, for the kids and the dog, we do need more grass, so let's cut that patio back. But I feel like if there's no concrete thing to make the change, we can't do spray, we're beyond doing spray paint and laying garden hoses, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, sometimes those practices still do have a place for some projects or some clients because sometimes even with the plan,
Yeah.
they can't see it. So it's like, okay, well, we've got the plan, we've got some dimensions. Let's go walk outside and okay, let's spray it out so you can actually see it, and then you can stand in it before digging. That sometimes helps with some people, but that's you can't start there. Like
Right.
you gotta get the plan on paper first before you go out and spray and start marking things. It's just yeah, you're kind of working backwards. I think you got to start with a piece of paper, figure it out, and then okay, if it still isn't translating well enough, then go out and walk your clients through those kind of
Hmm.
those spaces to make them feel a little more comfortable before digging. And that's sometimes where you can kind of catch those changes before you even start
Hmm.
digging. Going, oh well,
Yeah.
like actually maybe we do need a little bit more patio space. Can we move it 2 feet and
Hmm.
lose a little bit of grass, or vice versa? So sometimes that does help. But yeah, it all starts right like on that piece of paper.
It
And
really does, yeah. And we do know going in that it's going to change, much like in architect's drawings, right? There's how many revisions when we've seen architect drawings or interior designs. There it's going to be changes, but you need to know where your starting point is.
yeah, and like design evolves, like especially exterior stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
and design and gardens and like our exterior spaces are evolving. So that's also part of the the tricky part of planning, and that's why we have to have those plans. Is it's going to change over time.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that's how big a plant's going to get, or if that material is going to last, um, that's all part of that planning process and part of the budgeting side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And do you also agree? I try to explain to my clients too that we're looking at not just their yard, but sometimes you have to consider the neighbors, right? Consider what's happening, the neighbor's tree, the neighbor's house, affecting the light, that different thing. So I think that's also something, you know, um, that having somebody that's new, like a fresh perspective, right? To really look at the space from a very different perspective than, let's say, our homeowners, because they're just looking at their backyard. They're looking out their patio window and looking down, and that's what they see. But you and we have to look at everything.
hmm. I find a lot of times when you get brought into a space, it's either sometimes those homeowners they just moved in and they've been there for like
Mm,
6 months or a year, so they
yeah.
haven't spent too much time, but they spend enough to be like, okay, let's get something going. Others have spent 20 plus years in their space and haven't changed it, and they kind of have like tunnel vision of, well, no, like this is the yard, it has to be like this. It's got to be like this, but we get there and go, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Like, there's all these things that are around that you can take advantage of. Um, like I use my own backyard. Like our own yard, we have a borrowed landscape. We have no trees on our property, but our neighbors have trees, and
Mm,
so we get the benefit of that backdrop of, okay, we have this natural, awesome backdrop of all these different variety of trees. Um, Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing, depending on
yeah.
what your client wants. If they
Mm-hmm.
really don't want maintenance or as little maintenance as possible, that one's a tough one
Good
for people
thing.
to kind of figure out, because if you have an oak tree on your neighbor's yard, you're going to have some maintenance, and that's out of my control because
Yeah.
it's not on your property and I can't control the wind. So I
Or the
can,
squirrels.
yeah, we can design stuff to be as low maintenance as possible, but yeah, we don't control nature. We don't control what happens after the build. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, especially for things that are not on your own property and
Yeah.
like larger trees, like you're gonna have to. That's part of it. You're gonna have to deal with that, and that's where your maintenance is.
Yeah.
But
And the
yeah,
flip side, though, is, what else may suggest a tree, for shade or for privacy, and they have that situation where, well, no, it's okay because my neighbors have, like, I don't, it's fine. I have the shade from my neighbor's tree. I have the privacy from my neighbor's hedge, and
mm,
then like a new person moves in next door and wants to put in a pool, and now everything, and so now that people who just built this beautiful backyard can't be out back because it's not private and it's too hot.
yep,
So, that's something that we can foresee too, right? One of my catchphrases is you can't base your privacy on what your neighbors do or don't do, right? You have to
yeah,
kind of keep it. And not everybody has room for a tree, but there's small trees, and
yep,
which they don't, it doesn't have to be a maple tree. Everybody knows the maple tree, right? Like, oh no, I don't
yeah,
want a tree because they're picturing a maple or an oak tree. It's like, yeah,
yep,
we've got other trees.
yeah,
So yeah, so again, that's the what we bring to the table, right? What you bring to the
mm,
table as a designer, um, and the experience of being in so many yards over the years.
yeah. That I mean, plant knowledge is super key for what we're doing. Like
Yeah,
we've touched on it a few times of like, yeah, of knowing your plants and knowing soil types and what's going to work, what's not going to work, how big something's probably going to get in a space, and like assessing light condition and shade condition and all of that stuff. So that's all stuff that's taken into account when we get onto a space or into someone's yard, when we start, yeah, kind of going through that process.
yeah. So back to you and your company.
Mm.
Tell me about what is your process? Like, how do you start with a consultation? Do you want to just give us a little recap?
So for the most part, we'll start with either a consultation or a kind of like a discovery call, like a quick
Mm,
little phone call. That could be 10 or 15 minutes just to see. Just give a brief idea of what you're trying to do or what you're looking at for your project, and then kind of make sure that it's a right fit for what we bring to the table,
Yeah.
and then hopefully it is, and then let's have a consultation, and that consultation is typically just a longer, more detailed conversation of what that phone call was, but also gives us an opportunity to see the site and see kind of what's going on, and yeah, some usually clients at that point have some kind of inspiration photo with them of like, okay, this is what we've been talking about, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, and then from there we put together design proposals and our contracts and such for our services, and then um, once that's together, then we kind of hit the ground running and start putting plans together or visuals. Depends on what our clients need from us. Because I find everyone learns differently, and so or kind of receives information differently. So I'll ask any client, like, how do you learn best? Like, what are you going to benefit
Good
the most
question.
from me? So are you a really technical person? If you're really technical, you're probably going to want to see the blueprints. Let's go through the plans. We'll focus just on topographical views and layouts. If you're a visual person, then, okay, well, you're still going to have some kind of uh, plan view of the space, but maybe it's not as detailed or in depth. It's just more there for flow of space. And then we're going to look at more concept sketches, or if if they want, we do the 3D visuals,
Okay.
the fancy 3D stuff. But that's how we kind of base our contracts off of how we
Okay.
kind of structure it. Is, well, what are you going to benefit? You're paying us, so we got to do stuff that's going to, that you're going to find value in. So if you're a real technical person and I come to you with a bunch of visuals, you're going to go, well,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on? Like, I wanted to see how this was going to work from a plan and maybe some detail of something or a section of something. But if you, vice versa, if you're a visual person and they come to you with technical drawings, you can go, well, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So just that's part of that consultation, is finding where our clients are going to get the best value from us. So then we tailor the
Yeah.
contract and tailor the service to what they're going to get the value out of.
Okay. Do you your drawings, what software do you use for the tech, like the auto, like CAD drawings?
Yeah, so we just use AutoCAD.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for all of our detail work and like construction drawings and
Okay.
plan view, conceptual work, master planning, all that stuff. Um, and then we do a lot of hand sketching. We do like kind of before we even get into CAD, everything starts with sketching.
Oh,
So
good. You're
we do
good
a
at
lot of hand
that.
sketching. Um, you just find it's the best way to kind of explore through ideas and get the creative juices kind of flowing. Something just There's something about pen to paper, or marker to paper or whatever, pencil to paper or whatever your choice is. Um, and then we use SketchUp for 3D modeling and figuring out yeah how that space is gonna kind of like, we kind of use that as like the fine tuning of a space,
Okay.
um, and use that for grading as well. Find it's a really useful tool for grading.
Oh, really?
Um, so anytime that we're into like a big, I mean, any sized project, we take spot grades for everywhere, and then I will take that and I'll transfer that into SketchUp so that a um, we have a base model of your existing land. So your backyard is kind of sitting in our computer, and we can see exactly where everything's currently sloping or not sloping, um, and then we can use that as kind of our baseline template for
Okay.
how we're going to change, or yeah, like how we're going to change and better the grade,
Modify. Yeah. Yeah.
modify,
Make it more
and where,
usable.
yeah, where fine tune where steps need to go or not. Like if we extend something, how, if we extend a patio, do we need to now make 2 steps instead of one, or 3 steps instead of two, um,
Hmm.
because we made that extension? So it's a really useful fine tuning tool.
Okay. That's great. It's I could never do the 3D, so I admire that you can do it. That's a whole other skill is to be able to manipulate. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's a great service that you can offer. I noticed also one of your offers on your website is design in a day, and that kind of like freaked me out, John. I have to say. I'm like, oh yeah, you're setting you're and I don't set that standard, man. Like, oh, so how do you do that?
So it's not. It can be done in a day, but it's truly more like done in like 24 to 72 hours kind of thing, and it's mostly an introduction to design. So sometimes we get clients that are like they're not totally sure of like, okay, well, what am I getting, and what am I going to get from you, and what am I doing, and so we go, well, let's just do an intro. Let's just dip our toes into the design process. So that could be, hey, you got a small front yard and you want to figure out a front yard garden. Okay, like we can probably we've been doing this for a while, so like I can get into a spot and go, hey, like okay, if you've got some inspiration photos and you're prepared for a meeting with me, then we could probably figure out your front yard relatively quickly and get you some kind of concept of, okay, this is what you can do. Maybe we don't have every single plant picked, but we've got a general idea of like this is the
Okay.
style of planting that we can do.
Yeah.
It's and and then it's a little bit it's geared towards people that want to do a little bit do it themselves, but also some people that aren't quite sure of how the design process works and what they get. So yeah, so it's either like, yeah, I use the front yard as an example, but it could be a backyard. You come out and we would do more of a like an extended consultation. So we wouldn't be there for now. We'd probably be there for 2 to 3 to really get into the conversation, and let's you got to be a
So
little more
are
prepared.
you measuring? Like you're measuring
Measuring,
and
yep,
yeah,
yep,
you're
yep.
measuring
So
and then
measure,
you're kind of like sketching right there for them?
yeah. So like that's where the kind of sketching every day helps, so that I can sketch right on my notepad right there and start creating some ideas. So that yeah, we've got it's all conceptual for the most part.
Yeah.
And then depending on like the scope of work for the design in a day, like if someone wants to have at the end of it a scaled plan so that they can try to work things out, or they want to do it themselves, that's when we go, okay, well, we're gonna be beyond one day. We're gonna take our
Yeah.
concepts, refine them, and we'll get you something that's enough that you can do some kind of work.
Right.
You got a jumping off point. It might not be everything is fine tuned and completely, uh, yeah, not everything's going to be completely solidified, but you're on your way.
Okay.
So yeah, it's called the design in a day, but are we getting everything done in a complete
One
one
visit.
day? Depends on the scope of what that call is. A front yard, simple front yard garden. Yeah, we're probably going to be able to get you something in
Yeah.
in the day or in the session that we're there. If we do a 4 hour session with you, you're gonna get a concept at the end that you can keep, and
Hmm.
you've got something to work off of. If it's a backyard, yeah, we'll need a little bit
Need
more
more
time,
time.
but you'll get
Yeah.
something within kind of 24 to
Right.
72 hours of, all right, I've got something to work off of. Or
Yeah.
yeah, and then if a lot of times what will happen is, okay, we do that, and then um, they go, okay, I'm starting to see why we need to plan, and there's a lot more involved. Okay, let's go to the next
Oh,
let's go to
okay.
the next step. So we take the investment that's been put to that and put it towards, okay, we've already done a chunk of time with you, so
Right.
we're not going to double charge you for doing that process again. But now we'll charge you the remainder to finish the rest of the
Yeah.
design process. Uh,
Okay.
so that's how it's kind of a jumping off point from
Right. Right. And
for
how
some for
has that
some
been
people.
popular? Like, has that been a popular
Yeah, people
service?
people 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 ask me about it all the time. And like, how is this? How can you do it? Like, it seems like you're doing so much in one day or whatever. But I, again, it just depends on the
Yeah.
scope of what people are asking for, and
Hmm.
sometimes it's not a fit for what the scope of work is. If someone says like, I've got this big backyard that I want to do, and I want to make it this big custom thing. It's like, well,
Yeah.
if we're already there, we're not going to even entertain doing this because it's just not going to make sense. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to have
Yeah.
to spend more time than 72 hours figuring out how your backyard can work. Like, there's going to be a lot more involved.
Yeah,
Uh,
much more involved.
but if
Do
it's
you get
just
the
like,
survey?
I have
Like
ideas,
I like, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. I like getting the
no.
survey. You don't? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll get a survey of the lot. Like, anytime someone has one, not everybody has them, but
Mm,
if they do, then it's like, yep, like I want to see this because I want to be able to cross reference where lot lines are and where the
yeah.
house is actually supposed to be and or where they said they built it and all that stuff. So the surveys are key.
Yeah. I think that's really important. Back to the design in the day. Can you
Mhm.
also, like, if you do accomplish that in the front yard or a small backyard, are you giving them the, like, because then it's the price, right? So
Yep.
but you're not really pricing the work necessarily,
No,
right? So,
no. In those situations, I'm not pricing the work. So
right.
that's where it's kind of the okay. It becomes a little bit of the all right. You're probably going to be trying to do this by yourself, and
Mm.
then which is fine. Lots of people like to
Yep.
install their own gardens, or especially when when it's smaller stuff. Um, Sometimes that's when we ask like, do you want some assistance? Do you want some coaching? Do you want some extra
Yeah.
help when it comes to picking those plants or installing them? So then we can come out for a little bit and kind of coach somebody through it if they've never really done it before, or what will happen in those conversations? They go, you know what, like I thought I wanted to do this on my own. I've got this. Maybe you take a copy of this and can you find a price for someone to do it?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
again, the conversation usually evolves. It kind of
Hmm.
starts at, hey, just come out and give me some ideas.
Yeah.
And I don't like giving all my ideas away for free. So uh,
That is the
that's
challenge,
yeah,
right?
that's what it is with like the kind of the design of the day is to you're getting some ideas, but you're going to pay me to get the ideas. And if you're
Yeah.
starting to really like them and you want it done super quick, you don't want to chip away at it, then yeah, I'll find somebody and
Mm.
price it out and all that. But if you want to chip away at it yourself, you paid for the plan, you paid for the concept. Here you go. Now
Yeah.
run with it, have some fun.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah. People always say, "Oh, it's easy. I can just dig up the sod myself and I can, and I'm
mhm.
like, yeah, digging up the sod yourself, one, it's usually harder than you think. And two,
Yes,
how do you dispose of it?
yeah. Where are you gonna
Right?
where's it going? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So
are
I've had
you yeah
clients like the leaf bags are full of of sod, and
yeah
the recycling trucks won't take it. You
yeah
know
yeah. Good luck with that.
exactly. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Those ones, I like getting those calls.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so you need a little more help. Okay,
yeah,
well, let's work something out.
yeah.
I'll be there. Like,
Yes.
and yeah, that's something that normally happens.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they have a truck and they can't get it
Yeah,
to the dump, or they have an empty lot that they can wheelbarrow it over to. So yeah, sometimes that
yeah,
works, but for the most
yeah,
part, they're all things that they didn't think about,
yeah.
kind of
And like
thing. So
part of the reason that we kind of came up with this whole design on a day thing is because everybody wants everyone wants stuff like right away. Amazon with deliver
delivery.
you pick something on that and you get it delivered in the same day sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to compete with
Yeah.
it. Is it hey well instead of waiting a month for an idea, here I'll get you some rough ideas in a day or in 72 hours. And it's
Wow,
just
I admire that, but
uh,
yeah, I think that definitely sets you apart. So that's a great thing, to do.
That's trying to yeah. yeah, make a mark, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Another question I have is,
Mm,
since we're both in the same boat in the sense that we're doing the design but not the install,
yeah.
um, material choices. So not only plant material, but even the, like you mentioned about large pavers versus small pavers. Do you, how do you handle that? Do you like to be involved with the material choices, or, and do your contractors, are they okay with that? Or, uh,
I mean, so it's mostly part of the design process is
mm,
figuring out those hardscape materials and
okay,
color palettes, and so like again, treating the exterior like the interior. So interior designers have their full palettes of paint colors, the countertop colors, what color the faucets are going to be for sinks, and all of this stuff like wallpaper, anything that they're doing, they've got they've got color palettes and kind of those mood boards. So it's the same kind of thing. So I like to pick out, yeah, like, let's here's your color palette,
okay,
and here's the wall stone, here's the cap for the wall stone,
mm,
here's the paver. This is why we're picking them,
right, okay,
and this is what it looks like up against some plant life. Here's, if we're doing a deck that's, some people want the PVC stuff. So, okay, let's pick the right
color,
color of, um, yeah, of that style of decking. If it's wood, okay, here's what pressure treated looks like. Here's what cedar looks like. Here's what
mm-hmm,
Ipe looks like there's all these different palettes. So like, yeah, I like to, I consider that part of the design process is figuring out
okay,
all those colors and materials.
nice,
And then with the contractors, certain contractors like to work with certain brands,
mm-hmm,
which is like, no problem to me. If they have a brand that they're like, okay, this is what we got to work with, um, then that's where we start
right,
with the color choices or kind of palettes that we would look at. Sometimes those depends on which company that they really like working with or supplier they like working with. If those items end up being out of budget for the
mm,
clients, then it's
yep,
like, hey,
that
we're gonna have to have a conversation. We got to look at something different,
mm-hmm,
and then that either becomes a, all right, yep, we'll use that material. We're open to using different materials, or it's okay, maybe this isn't the project for you guys. Maybe it's a project for this contractor because
right,
they work with this product.
okay,
And then we just,
go from there.
it's all just conversations. Just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
figure out who's the best fit for the build kind of thing.
Okay. So the final design package the client gets, you've already spec'd the material?
Yeah, we'll spec through all the materials so that they have everything sitting there. But that's when we go through like the full design
Right.
process. We
Yeah.
wouldn't have that
N-
in. That's
Design a
not part
day.
of that design
That's
in a
not
day.
part of the day.
That
Yes.
no,
Yes,
that's
you do have a lot of other services. So, your
yeah,
website is definitely very clear as to that. So that was the one thing that stood out. So I was curious about that. But yes, I mean, most clients, I think, benefit from a full, you know, um, landscape design package. And
yeah,
that service is a different price point.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and again, that's kind of like that design in a day is sort of like that jumping off point. They've never done it before, and a lot of people haven't because doing
Right.
landscape projects is, and for the most part, it's a bit of a luxury to
Hmm.
be like, okay, I'm going to redo my whole backyard and add, you're adding value to the home and all this stuff, but it's usually a one time thing.
Yeah.
It's not always I get to do this twice or three times, or I mean, if you move a bunch, then yeah, but
Yeah.
if if you kind of stay in one or two spots, you're probably only going to do it once or twice in your lifetime of doing
Right.
these kinds of projects. So, if you're unsure, yeah, start at that design of the day and here's some concepts. You like the concepts, then we go to the full, yeah, that
Hmm.
much more intense design
Yeah.
package that's got a lot more detail. And like that's where we get into, okay, well, now we're in full build drawings and
Right.
full construction package, and there's a lot more involved there. It's not
Yeah.
just picking the materials. Now we're going to getting things prepped for contractors for permits and engineering and
Yeah.
build ready. packages.
Yeah. And that is valuable. So that is,
Hmm.
like an architect, that is so valuable for the homeowners to have that whole package. So
Hmm.
I think that's great. And I think the material choices are a really big part of that. So um, I tend to leave it. You may helping me kind of change my mind a bit because I tend to um, leave it. Well, I give them some ideas, and there's a hatching
Hmm.
pattern on I use Dynascape hatching patterns, but I find after they've committed, to the install, then that's when we go in, we look at material choices, and I give them my recommendations for
Hmm.
different things, so I kind of have it as a bit of an after service in a way, but it really just depends on their timelines too,
Yep.
right? So yeah. That is great. So this has been a great chat. I've loved to get to know
Yeah.
you, and I love to talk about landscape design, and that's why I wanted to do this series. I'm hoping to do a few episodes with other designers because I
Awesome.
think we need to talk more about our industry and about
Yep.
our little teeny tiny part of it. I know it's a little teeny tiny part of it, but it's a really important part, and I think our job is to make the lives of our clients who are busy, who are don't really know, how to answer and what's the best plant for the situation or the best paving material for the situation. So I feel like we really have a lot to help them with, right? And with the contractors that actually do the install, I think we offer
Mhm.
a really important part of that. Don't you agree?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Like we're the, I mean, in a lot of sense, we're the beginning of it all. So like we're
Yeah.
kind of an important piece of all these kinds of projects.
Yeah. And if we're successful, then I feel like the end result is successful.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm glad you agree because I'm biased in the sense that I've never done the build and I've never done the other side. But I feel like that's where your input is valuable. And for our listeners, like it's very valuable that you have been on the other side, reading a design and
Mhm.
trying to install it. And then you see the importance of a design. So I feel like that's adding more, you have more, I don't know, skin in the game or more expertise to say that, right? Like I feel like I'm biased when I say, start with a great landscapes. My tagline, landscapes start with a plan. Well, of course I'm going to say that because
Yeah.
that's what I do. But to hear from someone who, I think it's valuable that you've done all the different areas,
Mhm.
and now we're focusing on your company. You started this company and you're focusing on landscape design. I think that's great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Welcome. And so I'm going to end with one of the question I'm going to ask everybody, and
Okay.
that is, what is your favorite tree?
Oh,
Put you on the spot for that one.
yeah. Ooh, favorite tree. Um, Probably
To
it's
use
not
in a
any
design. To use in
to
a
use in a
design.
design. Oh,
Okay.
the paper birch. I like
Oh,
paper
good one.
birch.
Okay.
Like the multi-stem paper birch. Really, yeah. Um, but if I had to pick like a favorite tree, I mean, it's not in our yard anywhere, but I do really like it. Is the multi-stem Acer Crucium, the paperbark maple.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
yeah, really, really like those ones. But
Yeah.
I they're 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 I find they're hit and miss
Mhm.
uh, for 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 choices or specimens on them. But I
Yeah.
still really like them. I think they're super sharp.
Yeah. They are the fall color and the fall color on their yeah,
Yeah,
seed heads and stuff like that.
yeah.
It's a great choice. Oh, excellent. Well, thank you so much, John, for joining me here on Down the Garden Path. And happy to chat anytime if you have another topic you want to talk about. I'd love for you
All
to come
right.
back and visit. And I feel like, again, I think speaking about our industry, it's really a passion of mine. And thank you for joining me on this journey.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with John as much as I did and a little bit more insight into our landscape design life. Thank you for listening.